Okay, I think judging by the table name, this was played on stars. So three-handed here. I believe this table though had like just broken, or there was a couple people sitting out. I kind of remember this hand. Yeah, it was played 2 days ago. So yeah, that's the same hand I was thinking of. So in terms of people being at this table. So there's definitely kind of a weird dynamic that happens the higher you go up, where there's kind of this rush to, if a table looks like it's going to break, things get really, really weird for the last few hands, where people might ramp up their four betting frequency or never four bet because they expect it, except for extreme value, because they expect to get shoved on way too light, that type of deal. So definitely those are important notes to take on individual players. So here, if it was breaking, I don't mind either, even if it's not breaking. I think there's definitely a case to be made for three betting. You can get a lot of calls from Queen Jack. King Jack suited, I think I would definitely three bet. And then King Jack off, I would probably do it a small percentage of the time with flatting being definitely my standard here on the blinds, especially to a min raise. We're getting such immediate odds, and we're definitely going to get at least one barrel when it comes just like king low low or jack low low. So good flop. I like all options actually, other than check call. I like either a check raise or a lead here. I think a lead looks kind of full of it. Really, anything I do is going to look full of it because my hand is at such a high end of the spectrum in terms of absolute strength of what I'm expected to have here with this board texture and preflop action, that anything I do is going to look really, really fishy. And so I can really have any option I want with this. I can add this into my leading range because I can say, well, I'll lead here. It's probably better with this exact hand to have to put this into my check raising range, because when I'm leading, like just because of my blockers here, it discounts the times he's going to have a random king or jack, and he's also probably going to stab this type of texture way more often with like his 7-8 of diamonds than if it was a different type of texture where he could maybe not as credibly apply pressure. So I think in the spot I like a check raise, though leading with some strong hands on this board is definitely a necessity. And that's something I've been really, really privy to over the last 5 weeks, is just kind of almost with the idea of if you know what just like a Venn diagram is, of which I've always done, but I've been really, really focusing on it recently with some really good results. And it's kind of taken a lot of the pressure too, you feel, when you get into like big spots where you're like, oh, okay, I should be check raising here. Okay, well, let's take a step back. I need to be check raising some bluffs if I'm going to be check raising some value. Obviously, some semi bluffs work great for that as well. So what hands do we want to put in each of these little buckets we're setting up? And some of those buckets are going to overlap going as we're looking at all of them. So we get 3x into 45 here. So I think we could make it probably a bit bigger. 90 is okay. It's not, there's anything inherently wrong with 90, but I think that my hand's going to be a little full of it. Like my range looks a little full of it. So my range in general, like it's going to be hard for me to come up with a ton of semi bluffs on this hand that I'm going to want to check raise, because I have to be aware that when I check raise here, there's a very high chance I'm going to get played back out with a larger than normal part of this guy's range. So I don't want to be check raising like 7-8 of spades and then getting a sizable 3-bet and then having to decide to either like flat it, fold it, or shove. All those decisions sound pretty shitty. So I'm probably going to want to add some of those type of hands into my leading range or just a check call range. So I'm going to have some, obviously, my stronger semi-bluffs, so like Queen 10 of spades, Ace 10, probably with like Ace 10 of diamonds, I could probably check raise here. I also might be able to just check call some of those hands as well. So it's going to be really hard for me to formulate like an awesomely balanced check raising range here. So I decided, so in that sense, I think I want to go a little bit bigger just to kind of discourage him from playing back there. Or at least just like discourage him from just flatting everything and then making my life a little bit worse and just kind of lowering the stacked pot ratio a bit.